Hi everyone, welcome back to Eco and Crafts. This is the third episode of Crafting Mondays, and in this episode I'm going to be showing you how to make lino print cuts, which we'll be using on a future video to print some fabric. So a few more things required for this video than for some of my other videos, so I'll go through that now. So first off, you need to get yourself some lino. So I've been using this Essdee little small lino pieces. 2 pieces come in this pack. And apparently it's made from linseed oil and wood flour and is biodegradable, which is really good. This is what a blank one looks like, not very exciting. And this is what the cut one looks like, which will be what we're doing in this video. So really pleased with how this has come out. I'll show you up here somewhere what it looks like on paper when I print it. It does take some time to do, and you've got to be quite careful with what you're cutting out and what you're leaving in, but I'll explain all that in the video. The other things you need obviously is a design to print out. I've been drawing mine freehand, so these are the sort of things I've been doing to then cut out, and again I'll show you how I do that in the rest of the video. But otherwise, the kind of most important thing you need, apart from your lino, is the cutting tools. So I got these a little set for about £5 from a local craft shop. They come with different cutting ends on the top, and you can get basically interchangeable ones. Hopefully you can see that a bit there, that help you cut things in different ways. And then once you've got the lino and you've got your cutters, the next thing you need is the substance that you're going to print with, whether that's ink, watercolour, acrylic. I'll be making some modifications in the future to my acrylic paint to make it fabric worthy, if that makes sense. And of course you need a surface to print it on, so you've got to bear that in mind as well. I mentioned it a bit in the video, but the level of detail you go into is kind of dependent upon your tools, but also upon what you're printing it on. If you're printing it onto fabric, then you've got to go for bolder designs really than if you're going for paper, just because the fabric fibres, you'll lose some of the detail and you don't want it to become a bit of a sort of splodgy mess. But anyway, so that's all I've got to say for now. And then, as always, if you enjoyed this video, please give it a like. If you'd like to see more of these videos, I am posting these videos every Monday. Then please subscribe and press the notification bell so you don't miss out. Otherwise, let's have no further delays and we'll get into the video. Okay, so I've got my design, I've got my lino. Obviously you've got to make sure that they're the right size. This just about fits onto the lino block that I've got. The other important thing to bear in mind is that whatever you put on the block as you print it, it will be on the reverse. So if I want it to come out looking like this on my final surface, which I do, then I actually need to flip it for the purpose of transferring it onto the block, because then when you flip it again to print it onto your surface, then it'll be the right way up that you want it. It's particularly important, obviously, if you've got text or numbers and things like that, that you want to be the right way up when you finish. There are a number of different ways of transferring your image to the lino block. You can obviously just draw it straight on the lino block. Otherwise, you can use inkjet printers and solvents, or you can use transfer paper. My image isn't particularly detailed, so I'm just basically just going to cut it out and turn it into a stencil and draw directly onto the lino block. Okay, so I've cut out the outline like this. So we'll start, I'll flip it, all fits nicely onto my lino, and I'll just draw around the outside of this in pencil to start with. Okay, so if I just take this away, so you can see I've got my outline here. And then I'm just going to keep adding some of the details in, and we'll be good to go in no time. So I've got the most of the outline in now, and now I need to add in the detail where I'd shaded, which is going to give the image some sort of 3D quality when it gets printed. And anywhere that you're not shading, so anywhere that's not going to be blocked in, you need to kind of double line the lines if you want the ink to be on here, because obviously you can't just get the detail of one pencil width, so just got to be mindful about what you want blocking in and what you want blocking out. And there we have it. So that's my outline. And now I'm going to shade in the bits that I definitely want leaving in, so there's no confusion while I'm working about what's going to stay in and what's going to stay out. There we go. So this is all done. It's probably quite important to think about the level of detail that you want to put into your prints. If you're going to be doing paper prints, then you can add a lot more detail potentially than what you can add onto fabric. I'm making these because I intend to print them onto fabric, and obviously depending on how coarse the fabric fibres are, that will reduce the detail that you can have on the fabric. So if you want to be getting a nice bold and clear image, then it's important to simplify your design slightly. If you put tons and tons of detail in, it'll just look like a bit of a grey mess, which is obviously not the effect you're going for. So now we've done this, I've marked the areas that I want to have cut out. I'm going to start by cutting out the outline. I've got, as I went through before, loads of different cutting tools. You can use larger ones for when you want to clear larger chunks at a time, and then there's obviously much smaller ones for if you want to be getting more detail. So just switch and change between the ones you've got while you're working. So because I don't want any of this featuring in, I need to cut all of it away. But before I do that, I need to be adding some birds. One of the important things with lino cutting is you've got to make sure you have it how you want it before you start, because you can keep cutting away but you can't add. So once you cut it, it's gone. There we go. If you've got a cutting board, that'll help, but it's not necessary, but you do have to keep a firm grip on what you're doing. Right, so most of the background is now out of the way, so I'm moving to a finer tip. Don't know if you can see that. Just to reiterate that if you're not using a block to keep your lino in place, like I'm not because I don't have one, do be careful that when you're cutting that you don't have your fingers at the end, because I keep cutting myself like I have done just now because I keep not doing this. I would say if you're doing a lot of lino printing, then it's definitely worth getting yourself a block so you are safer whilst using it. But otherwise, just be very mindful of where your hands are. Anyway, so let's get into this. Okay, so I've done all around the outside and some of the bits of the water detailing. Now just moving into the detailing of the boat and remembering to cut away the bits with no pencil marks on and to leave the bits with pencil marks on as they are. Alright, so we're nearly there. I'm just going to change into a smaller and pointier end just to try and get some of these last details in, and then we're pretty much done. Alright, that's all there is to it. Hopefully you found it useful. If you've done any lino cutting yourself and made any prints, please comment down below and tell us what you did. Otherwise, as I was saying at the start of the video, I am going to be using these boats that I'm printing to do some fabric printing for a duvet cover, so I'm really looking forward to that. I'll put a card at the top when I've done it, but otherwise, hopefully I'll see you next week.